The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, and a big warm welcome to Join Digital 2020. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so before we kick off with the first session, which is going to be our VP of Marketing talking about the 7 stages of customer data excellence, I'm going to give you a quick overview of what Join Digital is and what you can expect from us each Wednesday. So BlueVen, like many businesses around the world, had intended to be at numerous conferences throughout March, April, May and June. So we had events planned in the US, in the UK, Monaco and Germany, and of course these aren't happening anymore. So with those events, we had prepared an array of presentations, workshops and live demos. So we thought it would be a great opportunity to set up Join Digital as a pop-up online conference and then bring all of that content to you guys. So Join Digital is going to happen every Wednesday, kicking off today with episode 1. And then if you'd like to register for episode 2, which will happen next Wednesday, you can do so tomorrow via blueven.com/join digital 2020, join 2020, sorry. So we'll send out an invitation for that as well. So keep an eye out if you'd like to register for episode 2. So for today's event, you'll be getting email reminders sent to you 10 minutes before each session starts. And in that email, you'll be given your unique login URL. If for some reason you can't locate this reminder email, then obviously check your junk email box just in case. And then if you still can't find it, then email us at marketing@blueven.com and we'll try and help you the best we can. Also, if for some reason you can't make any of the sessions, then just to let you know, we will be recording each one of the sessions and we'll make them available on the website, hopefully within the next 48 hours or so. So we'll give you an email notification when they're up on the site so you can catch up on any of the content you may have missed. We've got a great lineup sorted for you over the next few weeks. So just as a quick snippet, we're going to be looking at things like the 5 critical elements of customer data experience transformation, top 10 FAQs about customer data platforms. We've also got a Q&A session with David Rabb, who's the founder of the CDP Institute. So that's going to be a great session. And we're also going to have a session on things like multi-touch attribution. So looking at some of the most common attribution models that organizations are currently using. So I'm now going to introduce you to our VP of Marketing at BlueVen, Anthony Bottibol, who's going to be looking at a new 7-stage customer data maturity model and that you guys can think about where you may sit on the scale and how to strategically plan to improve areas of your marketing. If you think of any questions throughout this session you want to ask us, please send them over to us and we'll try and get to them at the end of the session. Any, of course, that we don't answer will be answered offline by email. So Anthony, thanks very much for joining for the first session of Join Digital.
Thanks, Jen. Thank you very much, and welcome to everyone here today. Now what I'm going to be talking about today is really an introduction to some compelling customer data research that was actually conducted by a firm called London Research. So I'm going to start by dipping into some of the key metrics from that research, but then I'm also going to take you through at this new 7-stage customer data maturity model, which really came off the back of the research. So this model has garnered some very good feedback, and I know it's being used and reused by some organizations that we know in their planning for how they're going to improve their use of customer data across the organization. And we've also actually started to see it used and appear in some guidance by some of the leading global consulting firms as well. So as I said, London Research undertook this global survey during 2019 into customer data platform usage. And the reason I wanted to share a lot of it today is that the results showed actually a very clear link between customer data platform usage and business success. So I'll dip into what I mean in a moment by that, but before I do want to caveat it slightly, in that this is not saying that just because you have a CDP that these businesses are more successful. In some cases maybe, but what it tells us is two things really. Firstly, that a customer data platform can help you to get better results from your marketing strategies by giving you better, cleaner, and more trustworthy data, which can then fuel pretty much everything you do. Every piece of analysis, all analytics or insights, every campaign, whether that be retention, acquisition, cross-sell, upsell, etc. But also that good data-driven organizations who are being successful, I guess, see the CDP as a logical investment. So it's not necessarily that you buy a CDP and you become successful, from this research. It's that, there are businesses there that are already successful, and therefore a CDP makes it is a very logical purchase for them. Now, the first thing that the survey asked was if the organization already had invested in a CDP or not. So it's a simple question and a simple answer, yes or no. But what that allowed the research to do was enable the preceding questions to, I guess, go down two different or separate paths, and therefore enabled the research to be able to compare the performance of CDP-equipped organization against those without. And by the end of the research, we found that, as you can see on screen here, that CDP-equipped organizations or CDP owners outperformed their marketing goals 2.5 times more than the non-CDP organizations. So we'll look in a moment at more specific results related to that. We'll look at how personalization tactics have been impacted, how campaign management, digital advertising, things like that. We'll look at some of those results more specific to those. Before I do, though, I just wanted to roll back to actually what is a customer data platform. And the reason I want to do this is because, it's a category that's been around for a while, but it is one that has caused some confusion over the years, and it's one that has really taken some time to settle down. And I think it's important that we understand in this respect what a CDP is. So I won't spend too long here, but as I say, I do think it's important because there are slightly different definitions. However, I think all would agree with this, however. So firstly, a CDP is all about being able to gather all that customer-related data from across your organization, data related to a customer. So that could be their purchases, could be an individual's website behaviors, could be what they've returned, could be a complaint, it could be a net promoter score, it could be email clicks and opens, social activity, mobile app use, reviews, recommendations, and so on. So firstly, it's about ingesting customer-related data from any source. Secondly, a CDP, it's important that all the data is ingested into the CDP. How a CDP does that is different on a case-by-case basis, but it should be able to bring all that data in, not just fragments of the data, all the data. Thirdly, it then needs to be able to retain that data indefinitely, so it doesn't index or summarize that data, well, at least within legal constraints. So again, you need to be able to remove data if you have a data retention guideline to adhere to. But this is important to ensure that all the data is usable when you need it without having to go off and find it again. And this data is commonly all over the place, and the CDP is therefore the platform to unify all that data, to create unified profiles. And as you see there is what we call at BlueVenn the 360-degree single customer view. Essentially, that creates this kind of single consistent view which the whole business can then draw from, whether that be for analytics, predictive modeling, or for, of course, to inject into your marketing channels, having all that data when the marketing channel needs it to be able to send out a very personalized communication. And finally, there is the requirement for a CDP to be able to share that data with any system that needs it. And a CDP should therefore be agnostic and able to plug and play with all your existing systems rather than just to benefit itself. So if we put your marketing automation and execution channels to one side, as these are really ancillary to a customer data platform definition, then really it's just all about unifying and treating that data. Okay, so that's the definition, but how does that single customer view then enable a business to achieve 2.5 times better results, as we saw in the earlier slide? Well, we'll cover that in the maturity model a little bit later, but for now, I'll just dip back into some of the more specific elements of the research. So we asked which organizations did or didn't have a CDP, and from that we were then able to also probe into how these organizations were performing in areas of personalization, attribution, things like machine learning, advertising, testing, measurement, and so on. And what it found was that, again, CDP-equipped organizations were 3 times more likely to have the following attributes. Firstly, having a full view of customers across digital and offline interactions with their brand was, I guess, unsurprisingly high at 41% with a CDP and just 5% without. Then those actually using sophisticated multi-touch attribution to improve things like paid media, we found that it was 31% with a CDP and again just 6% without. And finally, we also found 26% of the CDP-equipped organizations were actively making use of machine learning for things like real-time decisioning and data analytics versus 6% without. Similarly, we saw significant results with things like real-time personalization. So being able to, in real time, personalize content on the website or in the mobile or digital channels. So 36% with a CDP could do that versus just 8% without. We then looked at testing and optimization capabilities, things that are very key to website and email strategies. And again, the research showed that the CDP-equipped organizations could do that at 40% versus, again, 13% without a CDP. And then also, it's the ability to set up and execute multi-channel campaigns from a single platform. So we found that those with a customer data platform could do that, 38% of them, versus, again, 12% without. So these were all fairly consistent across all the disciplines, but also significantly higher for the organizations that have made that CDP investment. So I just want to pause for a second and just, a quick note that if you do want to access a copy of the full research, all I've given you here is just a glimpse of some of those results. Then you can obviously download it from the blueven.com website. So as you see on screen there, that we've got a resources section, and within the ebooks and white papers, it is in there. It's called the Customer Data Excellence Research Paper on Customer Data Platform Usage. It's many pages long, so please do go and have a look at that. And then perhaps we might be able to send it to all the attendees maybe in a couple of days as well. Okay, so off the back of the research, the authors at London Research then analysed those responses and the levels that marketeers were at to then be able to develop what you can see on screen, which is this new 7-stage customer data maturity model. Now, I do have to give a credit to a friend of mine called Andrew Campbell in the UK. He works for a company called Home Agency. He's a very skilled and well-respected marketing technology and data expert. and he's really the architect of this model to be able to be used as a strategic guide to, I guess, enable you to plot where you are now, and then maybe use it to think about the layers and aspirations of where you need to get to. So this model can be used in many different ways. Now, generally, when I show this to an audience, most marketeers admit to being somewhere between stages 3 and 5 on the model. So that's in the outbound channel optimization, stage 3, or stage 4, the digital media optimization, or stage 5, the owned media optimization. And they usually have aspirations for 6 or 7. So the ability to actually combine all those channels and orchestrate those in a seamless way. So stage 6, the cross-channel orchestration, or the advanced analytics stage 7. But they also then have a realization, usually, that stages 1 and 2 probably need some extra work. So stages 1 and 2, the unified customer profile, I guess that's what we're talking about in terms of a customer data platform. And then from that, the ability to then have actionable customer insights. And what we mean by actionable is that those insights are sometimes available through maybe dashboard or business intelligence tools, but perhaps not easily actionable. So how can you use this model? Well, I guess it enables you to take the stages and terminology. So what we've got here is a sort of 6-point list of how you can potentially use this within your own business planning. So firstly, it's the ability to define and order your CRM or your customer experience requirements. So what this model allows you to do is look at those stages and sort of define the order of where you want to get to and think about when you can get to those different stages. Then there's the ability to then look up and down the model to begin to turn these requirements more specifically into customer data requirements. Step 3 is then really to audit your current capabilities, have a look at where you sit right now. You should be thinking about things like the technology, the data, the people, the processes, and your culture. And actually, I'm probably stepping into the toes of a session that we're doing next week at Join Digital, where some colleagues of mine are going to be looking at how you can turn this into a very practical roadmap to get to where you want to get to. Step 4 is then that you need to turn these assessments into a phased roadmap. And again, that's something that you'll be able to see on Join Digital episode 2 next week. And number 5 there is you then need to gain company-wide buy-in to turn those assessments and roadmap into real monetization tactics. And then finally, in point number 6 there is that you can start to test, learn, and identify any synergies that you might have across your marketing programs. So the first 2 stages of this maturity model are all about enablement, the creation of the unified customer profile in stage 1, and then the analysis of the data to help unlock deep insights into customer characteristics, circumstances, and behaviors, actionable customer insights in stage 2. These foundational stages essentially inform the design of your customer experience or your CRM programs to ensure that you can meet the needs of your customers throughout your purchase journeys or customer lifecycle. And therefore, these 2 stages, they really inform the other stages within this model. So stages 3, 4, and 5 specifically. Now, you may feel that you're at stage 3, 4, and 5. You may have 4 or 5, but not 3. You may have 3 or 4, but not 5. Ultimately, though, it is these first 2 stages that are key to enable all other stages to be successful. Without them, you are going to be in an eternal battle to achieve the results you want from your technology purchases, and new strategies and initiatives that you want to put into play. So stage 3 is what we're calling outbound channel optimization. Now, this really is the ability to intelligently push messages out to your customers via your owned media channels. So these are things like broadcast email marketing, triggered emails, direct mail, mobile marketing, or even the contact center, whatever those channels are. This is really the basic requirement of database marketeers, but the optimization of these is about being able to use all the data you have, being able to use that data in segmentation and the insights that come out of that, and have a really good understanding of how each of those channels are performing. So the ability to be able to then report on those and use KPIs and understand what is happening in those channels. So then we have stage 4, which is the digital media optimization stage. This is the ability to target paid digital media to tighter audiences, defined by the first-party data in things like such as from email engagement, purchase behavior, etc. Paid media has faced somewhat of a backlash due to the amount of wastage and the lack of transparency of results and the difficulty of attribution. So this really, and that's really a byproduct of, the early adoption of digital advertising. Ultimately, though, if your acquisition and ad targeting to work and be optimized, you need to again ensure that stages 1 and 2 are solid. So this enables you to ensure that, for example, your ads are not served to a customer about a product that they may have already purchased, so suppressing those ads. And that's really about the power of using first-party data within your digital acquisition programs. And obviously across millions of customers and thousands of product lines, there's a significant cost saving to be had by being a lot more efficient there. Stage 5 is owned media optimization, and this is about supporting real-time personalization of digital experiences. For example, your website, your e-commerce, perhaps the mobile app, or other digital channels, and ensuring that these channels respond to customer actions, whether those actions are digital or offline. So, for example, dynamic merchandising based upon search terms or based upon the site navigation, or perhaps being able to personalize based on offline transactions or a complaint that's just happened. That's really where optimization is there. Now, real-time personalization tools can cover some of this. They'll look at the clickstream data, cookies, scraping of behaviors, of digital behaviors. But what we're talking about here is being able to use stages 1 and 2 to inform those digital personalization tactics, being able to use all that online and offline data rather than just the online behaviors. Stage 6 is cross-channel orchestration. And I guess this is really bringing together some of those previous stages in 3, 4, and 5 to deliver this seamless experience across all your channels, whether that's online or offline. So once your stages 3 to 5 are optimized, I guess only then can you really start to ensure that you can be consistent and personalized across all those channels. As you can see, stage 6 is really just a sign that you've therefore succeeded across stages 1 to 5, and then bringing it together in that kind of cohesive and measurable way. And then stage 7, right, the very pinnacle of this model is really, once marketeers like yourselves have unlocked the value of data to deliver enhanced customer experiences, you can then look to exploit this in this 7th stage around advanced analytics. And this is really the use of machine learning, modeling, predictive modeling, and AI. And this use of machine learning modeling enables you to ultimately increase the breadth, scale, and speed and precision of your personalization-focused marketing. We actually have session 4 today by my colleague Jim Kelly on he's deconstructing next best action and how you can use machine learning within your marketing. So if you're interested in that, then stay online. That will be, I believe, in a couple of hours from now. So yeah, this maturity model is really intended to help you assess your current capabilities and then define a strategic roadmap for the ongoing development and optimization of both your technology investments, your use of data, and a consideration of where you can get to as an organization. It also, as I hope I've pointed out, really highlights the preliminary stages 1 and 2, and how those really then inform all the preceding stages within this model. So just going back to, so you remember, we've got that prioritization of how you can use this model, the 1 to 6 there. So I hope that's been, kind of informative. I hope that's made you think a little bit. And obviously we'll have this all on demand for you by, I believe, Friday this week. So you'll be able to get, take some screenshots of these slides and things, and maybe take this away and use it. Okay, back to you, Jen.
Perfect. Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, we did get some questions throughout the session. If I know we've got 5 minutes before the session ends, so I'll just dive straight into them if you're ready.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. Okay, so is a CDP the answer to stage 1 for creating unified customer profiles? And if so, how can it practically ensure that we get the right results, as a CDP seems to be a considerable investment? And should the marketing or IT department be responsible for that? So a couple of questions in one. Let me know if you need me to repeat.
Okay, so let me just recap that. So how can it practically ensure that we get the right results? And should the marketing or IT department be responsible? Okay, so I'll take the second part. So I guess, and it is a very common question. Marketing and IT really need to work together, because what you'll see in an organization is that data is commonly owned by many departments. For marketing, the CDP really means that they have control over all of that data, and that they can use it in a very effective way. The benefit for IT of a customer data platform is that they can, I guess, relinquish a lot of what they are currently doing to support marketing. Often the two teams will work together, but it is important that you have a very defined process and that you think about all the elements that could be affected. I think I mentioned it earlier that you really need to have a really good grasp of five or more elements around the business. So you have to think about the data and where the data lives and where you're going to get the data, how much of that data you're allowed to have access to. Maybe someone owns that data that doesn't want to give it up to marketing. There's the technology as well. So there's lots of different technologies. Just as much as marketing is using data or an email system, there could be other departments that are using other email for other reasons. So you need to have a good grasp of the technology around the business that's going to be impacted. You need to think about the people. Do they have the right skills? Are they the right people to be part of where you're trying to get to? Your processes, what processes are going to impact the success of any technology investment you're going to make? And there's also the culture. Is the culture going to be a barrier for what you're trying to do? So I guess those are practical ways practical things to think of to ensure you get the right results. It covers the marketing or IT element. And again, I've mentioned it already, but there is going to be a great session next week at Join Digital, session 1, which really takes the principles of what I'm talking about and turns those into a roadmap that you can actually use to, plan out a strategical purchase, such as a CDP or a transformation of your marketing capabilities. Hopefully that answers.
Awesome, yeah, thank you very much for sending that question through to us. Okay, so we're going to try and squeeze in one more before the end of the session. So this person said that they love the model and they'd like a copy of it, which is great. And then they've asked, assuming my organization doesn't feel confident we are optimizing any of the stages, do you have any tips on how to put this model into action?
Okay, yeah, so yeah, as I mentioned, the full report is available on the website. So it's in our resources section. So within there, I think there's a section called ebooks and white papers, and it's in there. So that's available for anyone to access. And the website is www.blueven.com. Jen, you and I can see if we could maybe send the report out, and maybe in some follow-ups later in the week as well. Now, I not want to sound like a broken record, so rather than spend a lot of time talking about how to put this model into action, there are the 6 tips that are on the final slide, just before this one. But as I said, not wanting to sound like a broken record, but there is session 1 next week on the April the 29th. My colleagues Lisa Flanagan and Jim Kelly are going to be doing a session on the 5 elements of customer data transformation. So they're going to be taking the learnings from this session and turning that into an actual roadmap that you'll be able to take away and start to plot all the different elements that you need to be able to put this type of thing into action. So rather than answer it, I think the best thing to do would be to listen to them, because they're both the experts on that. So my recommendation is sign up for next week.
Perfect. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you very much, Anthony, for presenting for us. And also a big thank you to the live audience that have logged in and joined us for our first session of Join Digital. So in about 30 minutes, we have Gabby Schneider, who'll be running a live demo of the Blueven Omnichannel Marketing Hub, and also showing our underlying customer data platform. So just as another reminder, you'll be sent an email in about 20 minutes or so, which will include your unique login URL. So we're going to be logging out of this session, and then if you log in through the link that you get sent, we'll see you back here shortly in about half an hour. But just to give you a quick highlight of what other things we've got coming up today, we've got Gabby's session, and then after that we're going to be talking about CDP powered email marketing with Matt Diamond, and then on to Jim Kelly for supercharging the customer journey with next best action. So make sure you stick around for sessions later on in the day. As I said at the beginning, if for some reason you can't make any of the sessions, then they will be on demand in the next couple of days. But we hope to see you there for the live session. Okay, well, thank you very much again for joining, and we'll see you very, very shortly.
Thanks and goodbye, everyone.